Welcome. Today we're going to cover how to do a fossils read to learn. We've been talking about the age of the Earth and how we know the age of the Earth. Fossils give us really important clues to the past. I'm going to go over the first couple of paragraphs with you on how to complete this fossils read to learn, and then I'm going to have you complete it on your own. So the first thing we have here is a 3-column chart. In the left column we have questions, vocabs, and opinions. In the center we have the reading and our target, know how fossils form, the different types of fossils, and what fossils tell scientists about the past. So that's what we're going to look for as we're reading. And then on the right hand column, this time we have a guided reading. In the future this might just be a notes column to answer this target. The first thing that we're going to do is ignore our side columns and just focus on the middle. When we're reading through the first time without just answering the questions, we are going to use a highlighter, and you can use whatever color you want, and you are going to highlight the important key facts, terms, or supporting evidences. When we highlight, it's really important that we don't get overzealous highlighting. If your paper looks like this at the end, all highlighted up, you've chosen too much information. We'll do the first couple of paragraphs together now. So, fossils. Fossils are the preserved remains or traces of living things. Fossils provide clues about how life has changed over time. Most fossils form when living things die and are buried by sediments. The sediments slowly harden into sedimentary rock and preserve the shape of the organisms. Fossils are usually found in this type of rock. In this paragraph, it all sounds super important. It's giving us a lot of basic information. So when we highlight, we're going to highlight our topic. Fossils are remains or traces of living things. When you highlight, you can leave out the supporting words or supporting details, so this will just read like a sentence. Fossils, remains, or traces of living things. Fossils provide clues of how life has changed over time. Most fossils form, that relates directly to our target, know how fossils form. So form when living things die and are buried by sediments. And they harden into sedimentary rock. We don't need this word slowly. It's an adjective that's describing how they harden. We already know that they preserve the shapes of the organisms because they're the remains or traces of living things. We already know that they're found in this type of rock because it says that form when living things die and are buried by sediments and harden into sedimentary rock. So we don't need anything else. The next paragraph. Most fossils form from animals or plants that once lived in or near quiet water such as swamps, lakes, or shallow seas. When an organism dies, generally only its hard parts leave fossils. Fossils found in rock include molds and casts, petrified or permineralized fossils, carbonized fossils, and trace fossils. Other fossils form when the original remains of the organism are preserved in substances such as tar, amber, or ice. So we have a lot of words in here that are bolded, and usually our bolded words mean that they are important. So those are going to be vocab words. I would imagine that this paragraph is going to set up the rest of our reading. So we have casts and molds here. Further down, it's talking about petrified or permineralized. So I'm going to save my highlighting for those when we get to those paragraphs. Going back to what's important. Most fossils form from plants or animals that once lived near quiet water. So fossils form from animals or plants that lived in or near water. When an organism dies, generally only its hard parts leave fossils. Fossils are found in rock, include, and we're going to include all of those later. Other fossils form when original remains are preserved in substances. So we have some that are found in rock, and then it goes to list all of those kinds in rock. And then we have some that are preserved in substances. Go ahead and finish reading through all of these. After you've highlighted your reading, you're going to come over here to this left-hand column, and this is where you're going to write your own questions. You can either use the Costa's levels of questioning that we've been using, or vocab, or your reactions to what you've highlighted. So this is where you're going to make connections. You need to make a connection for every paragraph in this reading, or list a question or a vocab word. So all in all, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All in all, you should have 11 things in this left-hand paragraph. Let's practice with the first 2 paragraphs again together. So we have fossils, the remains or traces of living things, form when living things die and are buried by sediments, harden into sedimentary rock. So perhaps for myself, I know that fossils is a vocab word, so I could put that there. And then I went to this really awesome national park over last spring break where I saw a whole bunch of fossils. So I might just jot down fossils in National Park in Arizona to remind myself about a time that I saw fossils, and I'm connecting it to things that I already know. Our next one, most fossils form when animals or plants live near quiet water, such as swamps. Only its hard parts leave fossils. It's found in rock or preserved in substances such as tar, amber, or ice. Down here, I've experienced this bottom part preserved in tar, amber, or ice. My family went to La Brea Tar Pits. My family went to La Brea Tar Pits a couple summers ago. So La Brea in Cali, and they had all of these huge animals in tar. So all in all, the left-hand side is for you to make connections or list vocabulary words or give you some sort of reminder as to what the reading is about. After you've finished with the middle and the left-hand side, you're going to come over here to this guided reading side. On the guided reading side, hopefully, we've highlighted all of the things where we're going to find our answers. So the first one says, the preserved remains or traces of living things are called blank. From our reading, we have fossils, remains, or traces of living things. So I know the answer would be fossils. I've highlighted all of the areas here where you need to put an answer. If you type after the little line, your answer should be highlighted so you don't have to go back through and re-highlight. In the bottom, further down, like 7 says highlight the letter, so you'll just highlight the letter there. And then on 11, there's a couple more true and false. You can highlight either true or false. Please be sure that you know how fossils form, the different types of fossils, and what fossils tell scientists about the past. Also at the bottom of our reading is a summary paragraph. You'll need to either write a haiku or a 3 to 4 sentence summary. In your haiku or summary, you will need to know how fossils form, the different types of fossils, and what fossils tell scientists about the past. Happy reading!